Today we're going to check out a mechanical keyboard from Plugable. Plugable is a US based technology company that produces a range of input devices and other things, so naturally they gone ahead and produced a mechanical keyboard, and this keyboard is about delivering a solid budget option with the features beginners need, and this box reflects that, showing exactly what you get. Opening up the box, we have a user manual, the keyboard itself, with a little plastic ring keycap puller attached to the non-removable cable. Here I have the 10 keyless version with 87 keys, so we're missing the numpad on the side, but this also does come in a full-size version with a joint numpad if that's needed for work. 10 keyless keyboards are a great start for people that don't necessarily require a numpad, since we do save a bit more lateral space on the desk, and it makes for a more comfortable experience, allowing us to bring our mouse closer to the center. They've gone with a pretty simplistic rectangular design. This is only available in black, so we have the black keycaps and the black exterior. It's comprised of two main parts with a steel top plate and then a plastic base, which also extends to the top to give a more rounded look with the rounded corners. We can tell it's steel because it's magnetic, and many of these kinds of keyboards that sport this floating key design, exposing the key switches from the side, usually have aluminium plates. The advantage of steel is that it's more heavier and denser than aluminium and is more rigid and strong. The steel is quite textured, which is also quite visible, much more than the black plastic, which doesn't pick up any fingerprints. This is a case design that I've seen on another keyboard, so there's probably a couple more brands that use this case, but of course change the internals and keycaps. The top of the keycaps look really nice. It's quite a matte, smooth looking finish, which is a bit different to other cheap budget keycaps, and I actually really do dig the look of the tops. However, the sides are a glossy finish, which personally I don't like, but it does give an interesting mirror effect with the white LEDs reflecting off the sides, as well as any light surrounding that, so you may like that. The bigger issue is just that it attracts and shows dust really well. This is an issue with all black keycaps though, but it's just a bit more noticeable with these. The typeface or font on the keycaps is actually good, with nice and simple legends, but because of the double shot nature of the keycaps, they have the gaps in the closed legends, which does detract from the look, but that comes with a cost. These keycaps can of course be replaced if you want down the line, since it's using a completely standard ANSI layout. I've never liked logos above the arrow keys, and it's the same case here. Perhaps it could have been relocated somehow, like on the Lenovo branded case. On the rear is the non-detachable mini USB cable. On the bottom are just two flat rubber feet, so it's not the most stable keyboard on the desk and can slide around a bit. Honestly, pretty poor not to have the two extra feet there, but with the two flip-up feet, which are rubber tipped, it's completely solid. There are also some drainage holes on the bottom that may lessen the severity of spills. I'm really happy that they've gone with a solid white backlight rather than having stationary colors or something. It keeps it really simple and clean. The lighting customizability is also kept to a minimum. This is all controlled by the function key. We can change the brightness levels with the minus and plus keys, which have the up and down symbols on them. The only effect is the breathing mode, which is done with function and home, with the minus and plus keys controlling the frequency or speed of the mode. And finally, function and scroll lock turn the LEDs on and off, which also exits the breathing mode. There are some built-in functions with a keyboard. We can swap WASD and the arrow keys with function and W. Personally, I'm not a fan of the look of the pad printed arrow symbols and extra WASD legends on the arrow keys, but it is functional. For gaming, we can press function and Windows to disable the Windows key and the menu key. On the function row, we have a bunch of media control keys and some shortcut keys to open a browser, email and calculator, with F11 locking the whole keyboard. The lock indicator LEDs are at the top of the keyboard around the middle, but the positioning plus not having a top shell makes it very difficult to see because the keycaps are in the way. I mean, it doesn't really affect me, but still. This keyboard does feature N-key rollover over USB, meaning that we can press all the keys at once with no problems while gaming. Taking off the keycaps, and we have pretty decent keycaps actually, which are about 1.3mm thick, which is made possible by the double shot construction, which has 2 moldings of plastic so the legends will never fade away, and the white translucent molding extends all the way down to give it that bit more thickness. Underneath the keycaps we have the Ultimu blue key switches. These are just a clone of the Cherry MX blue key switches and are similar in how they feel and sound, so we have that click and tactile bump with a medium weight and a 4mm travel distance. And here's a quick sound test. This only comes in Ultimu Blues, so if noise is an issue then this probably isn't for you. The typing experience felt solid with the steel plate and was enjoyable. Taking the keyboard apart is simple with a couple of Phillips head screws on the bottom and a couple more on top. The plastic case is made from ABS plastic and has no ribbing on the bottom for reinforcement, but with the steel backplate it's not really a problem. The screw bosses are solid and thick though, which is nice. The steel backplate is 1.5mm thick and is folded at the front and back, making it really sturdy, and the stabilizers used are cherry style stabs for easy keycap removal. We actually have the microcontroller separate, and we have the SMD LEDs for the lighting, with the resistors right next to each of them, and also diodes for each switch. The soldering job is fine for the most part, but there's quite a lot of dodgy joints. This is what a solid and clean solder joint looks like, and all these dome shaped looking ones are a perfect example of too much solder. It still works fine though, and I'm sure testing would have been done. Overall, they've carried out what they set out to do. They've produced a budget keyboard that hits all the basics with a nice solid build with a steel backplate, decent aesthetics with the all black construction and white backlighting, which I feel all budget keyboard should have if it does have lighting. The double shot ABS keycaps are a good inclusion, but I'm personally not a fan of the more smooth glossy sides of the keycaps, but that may be to your liking, and perhaps the logo could have been relocated somewhere else, but these are just aesthetic things and to my personal taste, and overall it's pretty minimal. Another really important thing to consider is that they are based in Seattle in the US, so if there's any problems you can contact them to work things out. The low-end mechanical keyboard market is a very congested and competitive one. This keyboard sells for $43 and $50 for the full-size keyboard. At the end of the day, it provides a solid typing and gaming experience with the Ultimu blue switches and full end key rollover, and would serve well as a starter mechanical keyboard.